Hello, everybody. Welcome to Newcastle Fans TV on a shit show performance by Newcastle. We're going to be trying our best to score the players, and that's probably going to be putting that politely. I'm joined by Sam and Karl with their miserable faces. Rightly so, after Newcastle have been hammered in the scoreline, probably given it injustice to Southampton because it should have been a lot more. Have went down 2-0 today. Of course, it'll be interesting to see what you've lot say in the comments. Please let us know. We'll read them a little bit later on tonight. Obviously, Steve Bruce, of course, will rate him towards the end of this video, and I don't think he's going to get many praises. But let's begin. We'll go, I'll start left to right, and we'll go Carl Darlow. Sam, how do you think you got on? Should he done a little bit better for the goal, or was that too quick?
Nitpicking that he could do better with that first goal. I mean, there was a lot more pressing issues with the performances tonight. Darlow in the main did okay. He was fine. I mean, I'm going with 5 just straight down the middle because there is an argument for saying he could do better for the goal, for the first goal. It's a powerful shot, so you're going to have mega quick reactions. I know it was just over his head, but there are a lot more pressing issues than the goalkeeper tonight.
Would Dubravka save it?
Possibly.
Oh, he's not very talkative tonight, is he? I thought we'll get a long-winded answer off him.
No, not with the goalkeeper, because he's not an issue this evening, really. There's issues ahead.
I am being nitpicky because I just felt he could have done slightly better, but no arguments about the rest of his performance. So, yeah, 5 out of 10, that's bang average. We'll go right to left, and I'll pick up the right wing-back, Jacob Murphy. I've touched upon this for a good 10 days or so now. We seem to be going down the left flank a lot more than what we are using the right. I thought Murphy was very quiet, and I don't necessarily think he's going to be slandered for his performance because I think most of the midfield you've got to point the finger a little bit at. But Murphy was very quiet tonight. Southampton used the other flank more, so it'll be interesting to see how you guys want to use get Lewis or Almiron.
I'm blaming you for this because your tactical video in the week highlighted this. Southampton did their homework. You did their homework for them.
It's all on me.
They had a centre-back playing left-back, didn't they?
Yeah.
They thought Stevens was going to go over to the right and Walker-Peters to the left, but no, they only made the one change, kept Walker-Peters on the right to utilise their right-hand side, and our right, their left was kept quiet, and therein lies their possible weakness, which we didn't utilise. So, yeah, I don't know what you're going to mark him. What are you giving Murphy?
I'm going to throw him a 4. Jacob Murphy, I think he was a little bit quiet, a little bit underperformance tonight. You're all right. You should have attacked the makeshift left back because they didn't have Ryan Bertrand there, so we're not going down that right flank as much, and I've highlighted it, and I think it's an issue that may be growing bigger and bigger. I think over the international break, we've got to try and switch the play a little bit more, but yeah, 4 for me. Karl, you're going to get Fabian Schär?
I'll give him a 4 as well. I think he didn't, he hasn't done too much wrong at all. I'm not sold on. I was sold on this 3 centre-half partnership initially. I'm glad to see him back in the side, and I want him to push on. But I want him to start taking a bit more of a leadership role than he has done, and start becoming the player that he was in the past, because I think we've missed him. And I think we'll come on to Jamal Lascelles shortly, but I think Jamal Lascelles is causing a bit of an issue at that centre-half partnership. But yeah, for Schär, I'll give him a 4.
Yeah, you've talked about his experiences. How many caps has he got for Switzerland? It's got to be over 40, 50 now. So, seeing that the guy's in his late 20s, 1 year left on his deal. Who knows what his future may hold, but not his best performance. But the captain, Jamal Lascelles, bit of an indifferent night, maybe, Sam. Obviously cleared one off the line, which you've got to thank for. A fantastic clearance, which was 1-on-1, so he's done really well there. At that point, I said in our message, our WhatsApp, he's the best player on the pitch. But then, obviously, he backed off for the goal. I know Sean Longstaff's a lot more fault, but Lascelles, which has been criticised for doing, I've done that before. He's doing his Stephen Taylor, he's backing off. Armstrong has just wiggles to his left, and it's a goal. But I'm probably nitty picking at Lascelles there, but is he the best of the bad bunch?
Yeah, if he was the best player on the pitch, that tells you all you need to know about our performance tonight. He's a real tricky one to score for the reasons you've just kind of said. Clearance off the line. He was probably the pick of the 3 centre-backs, but they were all pretty terrible, weren't they? And then, I mean, VAR didn't intervene. I mean, depends what angle you look from. At first glance, I thought, wow, what a tackle. Superb. Then you look at it again, and things always look worse in slow motion. You think, ooh, that's we've got away with one there, possibly. But it wasn't a penalty. It wasn't a penalty. He got the ball. It wasn't a penalty because they didn't give it. They checked it, so it is what it is. So it goes down as a plus. I'm going to give him 0.5 more than Fabian Schär.
Oh, we're back to the 0.5s again, are we?
Yeah, the new lads brought it in, and it's not very often I give a 0.5, but I'm not against this one. I think he's really tricky to score, and because he's in poor form. He's in poor form, so that makes it trickier. Captain of the side as well. He's there on leadership, isn't he, at the moment? He's not there on form. I think Kieran Clark might be licking his lips after this international break when he's fully fit again. But yeah, I think that Clark may have a role to play when we come back, but it's just woeful tonight, woeful.
And not often we say Federico Fernandez as well. I thought he was shocking tonight. I think he's actually the worst out of the 3 tonight. A lot of misplaced passes, which is very unlike him. You talk about leadership before, Karl, with Fabian Schär. Fernandez is the natural lead out of those 3 for me anyway. Yeah. But yeah, that for me, Fernandez is the worst game. I'm not going to score him any lower than a 4. I will just score him a 4, but I think it's a bottom end of a 4. Very, very alarming because he's normally the guy who's 7s and 8s every week, but he looks better in a 2, Fernandez, for me, than a 3 because he seems to be, him and Lascelles have a better partnership than the 3 at the back. Yeah. But I've talked about the wing backs. I don't like it. We could talk about that for another video. But yeah, 4 for Federico Fernandez.
And I think what worries me, Lee, is because you hit the nail on the head. Out of all 3 of them, individually, they're all leaders, or every one of them. But for some reason, the 3 of them, it's just not clicking at all, is it? It's like someone's not taking the stronghold of who's the leader on the pitch. And for me, there just seems so much confusion there, and it's becoming abundantly clear that it's not working for me. Personally, I don't know about you.
Fernandez is the captain who isn't the captain for me, because he's got that leadership, and I know Jamal's a great talker, and you talk about ability, and he's in terms of ability, he's the worst out of the 3, Jamal Lascelles. However, he's in there because he's up there as one of the better leaders in the squad, up there with Fernandez. So if the club captaincy was to change in the future, it would go to Fernandez for me straight away. That would be my first choice, but obviously we're not talking about that tonight. Karl, you've got Jamal Lewis, who obviously kind of outlet a little bit towards the end, where he whipped in a couple of crosses. Obviously, you found Sean Longstaff, and then obviously when Andy Carroll came on, it was trying to go long ball, but the goal's not his fault. No. It did come from that end, but he has been criticised defensively. But how do you think he got on tonight?
Again, I'm probably one of his worst critics for him defensively, and I agree with you. As an attacking outlet, I think he's brilliant. Especially when he's looking to overlap the winger. We haven't seen as much of it now as we have done at the start of the season. And I do agree with playing Almiron in front of him because he's better defensively than Maximin. That being said, he just worries me. He does worry me defensively. I find him getting caught, like kind of lost out of position and then having to track back far too much. And also when he's being attacked, I feel like he's sitting too far inside of the box. But again, he wasn't at fault for the goal. He didn't do too much wrong. So just a consistent 4 from me.
I felt Southampton obviously using that flank a lot. They must have seen the weakness there with Jamal Lewis. However, Southampton pressing was literally all game. It was all game in your face. I felt we struggled defensively from midfield and defence as well. As the captain making an appearance again, shock horror.
I'm normally a big fan of Lewis, and I thought going forward he was superb. He whipped some fantastic crosses in tonight, but yeah, defensively, it was just an absolute shit show from start to finish, wasn't it?
It's a game for Paul Dummett tonight, isn't it? Perfect game for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have the greatest of performances for the under-23s today, but
Yeah.
he's I mean, one come off the bench, didn't he, Matty, which we'll talk about later, that these lads haven't had much football lately, so they might be a bit rusty.
Yeah. And Sam, we're first of our midfields. We'll begin with Sean Longstaff.
No, we're starting with Jeff Hendrick.
Okay.
I am having...
All three of them are shocking tonight, so you can
I
have
am having Jeff Hendrick because that was one of the worst displays I've ever seen. Not quite Nabil Bentaleb, which is why he's getting a 1 and not a 0, but could not keep the ball in possession. Absolutely got overrun in midfield by Ward-Prowse and Armstrong.
And Romeo.
Yeah. Just an absolute... I don't know why when Isaac Hayden sat on the bench, he's persisting.
Why is he starting?
Lazy team selection.
Why is he starting?
Because it's a lazy team selection. Every time we've won a game and thought, oh, things are... I mean, I don't want to sidetrack to Steve Bruce yet because he's got one coming. But it's just a lazy team selection with no thought about who you're playing. You needed Hayden in there to disrupt James Ward-Prowse, who ran the show. And Hendrick couldn't... His passes were awry. His tackling was poor. Everything about his performance today was poor. And it's not very often a centre mid gets hooked off after 60 minutes. At least not by... I mean, a 60-minute substitution for Steve Bruce is like getting hooked off at half-time by a proper manager. So... that just goes to show you how poor he was today. It was an embarrassment of a performance, and I hope that's enough to get him out of the team. I don't dislike the guy. He's done okay. And I've said on the channel before, when we signed him, smart piece of business on a free, but none of us were expecting him to have started every single Premier League game so far this season. This guy is a squad player, not a starter every week.
This guy's keeping Isaac Hayden out of the squad. Out the team, which is alarming. I mean, Hendrick doesn't offer nothing going forward. He's even worse for me on the right-hand side, but yeah, you'll go away and play for Ireland.
No shape to that team either. I'll save it for Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, Hendrick, for me, I've said it for a few weeks now, he's a squad player and he can't be starting every game. He's not a guaranteed starter. How can that be? No. It looks like I've got the Geordie lads. Geordie's going to have to be picking on the Geordie here, but Sean Longstaff for the goal. What's he doing? I actually think it's worse than Almiron's because it's very lethargic, it's very slow, it's very easy around the box. Thinking he's got all the time in the world. He's dispossessed and Armstrong fires a bomb corner. It's piss poor. That's awful from a Premier League player. And he had a great game against Everton. And it's like Jekyll and Hyde. Great, poor. It's a bit like the team. The great, the poor, the great, the poor. There's no consistency with a lot of these players and the team. He should probably done a little bit better when Lewis whipped it in and he's free and he headed straight to the goalkeeper. But he was outrun. Very similar to what you've mentioned, Sam, with Hendrick. Defensively, a lot of running, huffing and puffing. But where was he?
Yeah, well, this was it. Up until the mistake that led for their second goal, I actually had some sympathy for Sean because he was getting nothing with Jeff Hendrick in the midfield, was he? And he was working overtime and he was just being overrun and he was getting no help whatsoever and he was just... So I had sympathy, but that, what is he doing for that second goal? Just fucking clear it.
2 out of 10 for me tonight with Sean Longstaff. I think he's better than Hendrick, but not much better. He cost a goal. Hendrick didn't, but Sean off had a little bit more fight. But yeah, he needs to have a bit of consistency because if he's going to come back in that side, because Bruce has talked about Shelby possibly there or thereabouts being back in 2 weeks. If Shelby's 80% fit, he starts for me. But yeah, 2 out of 10 for Sean Longstaff. If we're being harsh, let us know in the comments. But unfortunately, I don't think the next guy is going to get very high. Yeah, which is Miguel Almiron, who's playing out of position on that centre mid on the left of the three. Costs were dilly-dallying. Karl had 2 chances to clear it, and we're 1-0 down after 3-4 minutes.
I don't. I can. Ugh. He's just a shadow of the player that we expect from Miguel Almiron, and I think a lot of that does come down to the way he's being utilised by Steve Bruce. In what universe he thinks he's a centre midfielder is absolutely beyond me. That being said, it's still the basics of football, and he hasn't got them right tonight. at all. He did a hell of a lot wrong, and Sean Longstaff had a really, really bad game, and Miggy wasn't. I don't think he was as bad as him. So with the 0.5s in there, I'm going to give him a 2.5.
I think he was positive though. I know you give the goal away, but you're still trying to be positive because he was. It looked for me watching. He was doing more of the running than the other two centre midfielders, and he's done a hell of a tackle. I think it was late. Was it late in the second half? Where
we had one in the first half as well. About 10 minutes after the goal, we had a 10-minute spell in the first half when we looked like we'd kind of woke up and recovered. He tracked back and nicked the ball off Ward Prowse. It was absolutely superb. And that's the only good thing I can think of that he did well today. The goal kind of set the tone for the game, didn't it? Because it was just so early on and it was a bit of a sucker punch. But the whole shape of the midfield is just... Well, there wasn't a shape. So, it was just embarrassing.
I absolutely love him, and like you said, his work rate is unbelievable. But he's almost going to be made to be a scapegoat in a performance like this.
But the thing is, Carl, we don't want to be talking about Miguel Almiron's work rate. We want to talk about going forward, what he can do, going past players, shooting, scaring defenders. When was the last time we thought Miguel Almiron's playing his natural position where he can just go and run? And that's what he does for Paraguay. He's brilliant at it. Yeah. And he's not doing that. He's being forced into playing left midfield, sometimes over the right, which is not for me. That's his worst position. No. And then he's been put in this central midfield role where all he's doing is chasing shadows. We're not having the opportunity to see him go that way.
No, I absolutely agree, mate. 100%. Obviously, we'll come on to it, but I think there's quite a simple switch in terms of he's got to be playing that 10 role for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let us know what you think about the midfielders, because I think we'll soon find out with ASM and Wilson coming up next, because Sam, you've got the flamboyant ASM appalling tonight.
Yeah. But the thing is, he was making he was putting in a lot of effort tonight, but his final passing was terrible. It was just he cut a real frustrating figure. I'm giving him a 3. I don't think he was as bad as the midfield 3, because he did look to have the potential, as he always does, of making something happen. But the final pass was really lacking tonight. Really lacking.
And in this number 10 behind the strike guys.
Don't worry. Well, I've been storing this up because, I've been storing this up. I will address that when we speak about Steve Bruce, because I bang on about systems and tactics a lot, but this system in particular doesn't get the best out of ASM. We know that. We knew that when we beat Everton. We knew that when we got a point at Wolves. It just doesn't, and no wonder he looks frustrated, because he must feel it. He knows it. He's on the pitch. He's doing it. He knows that he's not getting into the game how he can't affect the game how he wants to. So I can't see this. I don't know. I just can't see how he can play in this system.
You kind of you feel like games like this, because they've all been similar. Everton was an improvement, but you look at Wolves as well. Do you feel when he gets the ball, he has to think, I have to do something magic here to get us up the pitch?
Yeah, but how many times are you going to get the ball and beat 5 or 6 players and make something happen? I mean, he's trying it how many times a game? And if you can't lay it off and work with Lewis, work with Almiron, it's just not happening.
But do you think that the players around him, I can't pass to you because he's picking the ball up halfway line, and then
it's the wrong system. Believe me, we'll come on to it when we speak about Steve Bruce.
Well, you're dying. You're going to get Bruce first when we come to him. Alan Saint-Maximin gets a 3 again. Not the best of all the midfielders /10, but now I've got the striker, which is Callum Wilson. Didn't have any service. If the striker doesn't get service, he's going to score low. So I'm going to score him a 4. A lot of hard work, a lot of movement. Had a half chance early on after we conceded, but apart from that, where was the service? So we'll talk about ESM. ESM offers nothing for me. Nothing for Wilson. That partnership's a no-go. It's dead in the water. Cannot play that. You cannot play that. You're going to play two up top for me at the moment. It's Carroll and Wilson. Unless you bring in Dwight Gale. But I think Dwight Gale's a little bit too similar to Wilson. So to want to do that. But for me, where was the service? He's a lad in form. We're talking about being in the England squad. Southgate, if you've seen that game tonight, you probably think justice, but that's harsh on Wilson. But that's not because of his fault, it's because of the team. There's nothing
I
there.
hope to God he ain't injured.
Yeah, he
Come
was
on,
niggling
his
the game off.
hamstring, didn't he? I hope he's okay.
Maybe the international break's probably a good timing for that, but it's a shame about Wilson, but not because he individually played well, he just was nothing there for him. So he was going to score 4. That's the 11, and Karl will come over at you with Matty. Fantastic. I was watching the live stream over on NFTV Extra, and you were saying it's fantastic seeing back, which I totally agree with. But again, you kind of matched the rest of the midfielder. For me, when he came on, he was quite sloppy.
Massively, Lee. I was expecting, because I've said this before, I think most people will agree, out of him and Sean, he's the more dynamic player. He's the more, I feel he's the more attacking out of the two. He's got that small frame, he's quick on the ball. But yeah, he offered no change whatsoever. I can't really remember anything positive that he did. In the same breath, not much negative. There was a few wayward passes. But as you said, he come on, what was it, the 60th minute he come on? So he had more than enough time to get into the game. Granted, it's his first game back, but 3 from me.
I thought he looked a bit rusty.
Yeah, I think he
hasn't had much game time at all, has he? That's the first Premier League appearance for ages. Because if you remember the back end of last season, he wasn't getting in the team over Bentaleb.
No.
So he did look a bit rusty. There was a few dodgy touches here and there, but he needs game time, and we need the Matty Longstaff in there that we know has the potential to make stuff happen. I will say this though: when he did come on, they kept the ball marginally better. Marginally.
I think he's good at that. He's really good at that. I think he as an all-round footballer, genuinely, I think he'll get overlooked because we don't see enough of him. I honestly think he's one of the better ball-playing midfielders that we've got, especially more I'm seeing of Sean Longstaff as well. What's happened to him, I don't know. I'm a massive advocate of Matty, and I do feel harsh in giving him a 3 because it's his first game back. He's trying to get back into it, but it is what it is. He hasn't. I didn't expect him to set the world alight tonight, but he's not done enough to get anything more than that for me.
Yeah, we'll talk about Bruce in a moment. You've got 2 centre midfielders sitting on the bench, and you're playing Almiron centre mid. The first one, Andy Carroll and Joe. Well, I'll let you have Andy Carroll because I'll have Joelinton. Got about 13 minutes added on time, 15 minutes. So we went a little bit more direct than with Sam.
Did we?
A little bit.
What did he do anything?
What would you do next game? Let's say we had a game in 3 days' time. Would you start Callum Wilson if you are playing wing backs?
I would go. No. I would go 4-2-3-1, like I've been saying for.
If you're playing wing backs.
If we're playing wing backs,
because you're not playing saint-maximin there because he's not doing that. Surely it's Carroll. Because then you've got the wing backs.
I think you've got to look at that kind of big man, little man, old school strike partnership if you're playing that formation, definitely, because Wilson's got nothing otherwise. For me personally, if you are playing wing backs.
Worked against West Ham, didn't it? But didn't work against Brighton.
You're not on the news again.
Yeah.
What we're giving him?
I don't think he was as good as Wilson, so I'm giving him a 3 as well. Didn't do anything.
I'm actually going to score Joelinton a little bit higher. I'm going to score him a 4. Yeah. Came on, great header, fantastic save by McCarthy.
Oh yeah, it was.
Another day that could have went in, and that would have given Joelinton a massive boost. But it's not often. That's Andy Carroll doing that. It's not often we see Joelinton doing that inside the box. So great to see. I want to see more of that. I want to see him get in the box, bully people a bit like Andy Carroll. But this is ifs and buts with Joelinton, isn't it? But yeah, it could have given a consolation. Might have given a little bit of a fight back, but Joelinton scores slightly better. But those are the players. Steve Bruce, Sam, take it away.
So 3 times we've won a game.
How long we got?
No. I'll try and keep it as brief as we can. But 3 times we've won a game this season, and we've all thought, okay, good, promising, not bad. Then we go into the next game with the exact same team, and we're all kind of not happy that he's just lazily picked the same team and keeping the faith with the same old shite. And it's just been a car crash. Every game we've won, we've followed with an absolute car crash of a defeat. It's so uninspiring. This system, I mean, me and Johnny spoke about this off camera, I think it was just before a Greenwood and Mulliner show the other day. Johnny quite liked the system. I don't.
I don't.
I don't at all. And this is the same thing. It took him 18 months to go back to a kind of formation that Rafa used. And used them words that he used everywhere else. Work in progress. Okay. Work in progress. The key word in that is progress.
Don't managers get sacked after 18 months normally anyway?
He's not going to get sacked. The whole.
No, he's not. I know he's not.
It's a waste of time going Bruce out and this, that, and the other. But it's so irritating now. There's no plan B. The shape of that team today was an embarrassment. All over the place. Cannot retain possession. Just 1 minute ASM's left mid, the next minute Almiron's left mid. Sean Longstaff was there for a little while, and then there's just players popping up everywhere like headless chickens. At one point, I noticed there was 3 Newcastle midfielders all within 2 feet of each other, and the space that Southampton had in that midfield. I mean, they're playing a really high pressure, so they should be more than enough space to get in between the lines and make stuff happen. And on the counter-attack, Southampton absorbed our counter-attacks or lack of counter-attacks with ease. It was scary how ineffective our counter-attacking was tonight, and that's the whole point of your wing-backs. This system's just a waste of time. The squad, that team, that squad of players should be set up for 4-2-3-1. I've been saying it for 12 months now. We've not given it a proper go. Our best centre back is on loan at frickin' Alaves, and they got a draw against Barcelona last week. And Lejeune, when fully fit, is head and shoulders above them other centre halves, and he would have added a calmness. And we just miss him. I know we like Dummett and Clark and whatnot, and I know Lejeune had a horrendous season last season, which was down to Steve Bruce mismanaging his comeback from injury. He gave an interview with the Chronicle this week, and he's had a few little subtle digs in it, Bruce in there, and it spoke volumes to me because Lejeune is quality. It doesn't work. These same stupid systems that he tries. There's no shape. There's no plan B. There's nothing remotely positive to say about how Steve Bruce set that team up tonight and the way they performed. So he's getting a 1 from me.
Carl, you want to add anything onto that?
Yourself, Lee, Sam's just done some brief analysis there. Do either of you two honestly believe that he's going to analyse the game like you two just have there? Because I don't. And he comes out and he talks about fans and people on Twitter, everyone being a manager. It's with the technology that we've got and the time that we've got now, he can have a dig at us for that. But the things that we see, why is he not seeing them? He's the one with the coaching badges. Why is it people like us can see it and can see how things could potentially make a difference? Yet he just wants to cop out and play the same system every week when he gets a lucky result or what? It's just absolutely infuriating. I've never come across a manager that is less tactically inept than he is. I would rather Pardew as manager. Honestly, I'm furious. He's crap.
We're in a really monotonous cycle at the moment where you think we're making progress. And Fraser was a blow to lose him, as I would have loved to have seen him from the start. But then you look at the way that team set out and like, where do you stick Fraser in from the start?
Probably would have played centre midfield, man.
Exactly, which like he did at Wolves, and you could tell that was a player playing out of position because there was nothing there. And which, again, squad management goes back to my point from that Wolves game that you've got 3 right-backs in the squad, none of which you play in, and then you have to sell Dan Barlaser to make room for Yedlin, Kraft and Manquillo, and then you play Jacob Murphy, though. Fine, fair play to Jacob Murphy, praised him to the hilt. But it's his decision making and this work in progress bullshit that's really holding us back. He's not a progressive manager. He's a stagnant manager to steady the ship and get us into mid-table, and everything's hunky-dory. Win one, lose one, draw one. Win one, lose one, draw one. Well, there you go. Boring. And he's got away with it so far, and I like the guy. I'm sure he's lovely, but there's no
consistency.
Doing the same things, and expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity.
We're going to lose Maximin at the end of the season because of him. He was a brilliant man manager with Hatton Ben Arfa. Hatton Ben Arfa soon saw through his bullshit and didn't want to know. It's going to happen with Maximin. It's starting to happen now. He had this apparent attitude problem when he was at Nice. None of us have seen that. He's been brilliant around the club. He's been brilliant outside of the club. But you can see now he doesn't want to know. The man management goes so far. And like you said, he wants to have an effect on the game and he can't because of where he's being played. And if it carries on, he'll be gone. And then we'll be fucked.
Look at Wolves. Look at that. Go back to that Wolves game. I know with Southampton and whatnot, but it's just to emphasise a point. We had all that attacking flair on the pitch, and it was just blunted by the way Bruce plays. And the same tonight. ASM Almiron, Callum Wilson, Sean Longstaff, who can play in the 10, all on the pitch, and there was just nothing at all.
Is Theo Walcott better than Maximin and Almiron? Like at this age, because he shouldn't be. We should be able to get the tune out of those two players that Southampton are getting out of someone like Walcott at his age, and we're not seeing it at all. It's infuriating.
What are you going to score him, Karl?
Pardon?
What are you scoring him?
0, mate.
I'm going along the same lines as Karl. I'm scoring him a 0 tonight. Sam's been generous, giving him a 1. I feel so. You're being outruled. I think nothing. You cannot really take a positive from an individual performance, a team performance. I think the only positive that it was just a 2-0 defeat. I think that was it.
Well, again, things are coming back to me. You get that team in at half-time and you rollick them.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen.
They came out exactly how they finished the first half. No changes were made. Nothing. It was exactly the same. Absolutely embarrassing.
It was. It's an absolute joke. And probably the international break, it's coming a good time because Bruce... Yeah. After tonight, won't be facing any press conferences or media for a good couple of weeks. But I just want to touch upon Deb briefly. Southampton are top of the league. I thought they were very impressive tonight, and in particular the press, the very high press. And it gives us a little bit of sign how well Hasenhüttl's done in the last 12 months. Of credit Southampton. We're not just bitter. We can say good team when we say it.
Absolutely.
Fantastic performance. And, they'll push the likes of possibly Leicester and Arsenal maybe for 6th, 7th position. Who knows? Even Wolves, you could have struck Wolves in around that position because Southampton are really, really good. And you've got to remember...
Without Danny Ings?
Exactly. I was just stalling my line. Without Danny Ings, Bost were possibly up there with the best team we've played against this season. That's up for debate. Maybe it's Brighton. Who knows? But that just tells you its own thing with Newcastle. These teams are absolutely bossing us. But that is it. Coming up later on tonight, we have the reaction with these two are used to win it. Plus...
I'm presenting with... Brandon, Adam, and Fordy.
Fordy's coming on because Carl's got to shoot off home. So keep an eye out. There'll be laughs and giggles. Fordy will try and wind his up. And then you've got the last word with Johnny and Brandon, who's sending over a clip to Johnny. But yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be a long one through the night. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Take care. Watch what you're doing. Bye-bye.